Hey guys. Well, this is going to be the first for me. I'm sure it's all over the internet, but I wanted to do it too. So I have a client and they're receiving booking confirmations via email from this tool, Viator. I've gone to their website and I've looked online, and unfortunately, I cannot integrate this. Can't get them to send an outbound webhook. I can't get it to integrate with Gmail. They just have these third-party integrations that all, if you look closely, they're all trials and demos and are all paid. Now, my client's already paying me for my agency subscription, and I want to make sure I can give her this without additional costs. So, am I going to do this? I'm going to take this email and I'm going to try parsing it. As you can see, all the information is there that we need. Now, these are tour names, this is a tour date, this is a traveler name, etc. Now, the objective in the end is to try and get all this information into the CRM, create a calendar event associated with her Gmail account, her Google Calendar, and also send a proactive message to the client that is custom based off of which tour they're going to take. Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to parse this email. So what can I use? I'm familiar with Zapier, but it seems Make has overtaken them. So I want to jump into Make. I noticed that they have 1,000 free actions per month and don't really have a limit on which types of actions you can do, whereas Zapier is not going to let you send a webhook for free on their free plan. So I create this free account for my client, and I'm going to set up the first step, an email integration. Now I set up this as an IMAP connection. My client doesn't use Gmail or Google Workspace for this email address, so I manually set this up. Given that, I also had to do some filters based off of the sender address and the subject. And then finally, the good part, the text parser. So if you're not familiar with parsing, it's basically the idea of taking pieces of information out from a more chaotic piece of information. In this case, the chaotic piece of information is this. We have a whole bunch of text with formatting, kind of like these URLs are popping up in there as well. So how do we extract something like this phone number only into a variable? Well, that's what this does. So this regular expression is going to return tour name, travel date, etc., etc. And the way I got to this is very simple, ChatGPT. So I'm not capable of this. I don't have a database of information on syntaxes, but ChatGPT does, and I simply gave it all of this information, my raw content, and asked it for a regular expression to return what I needed. And in this case, it is returning in these variables 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the phone number, last name, first name, tour date, and tour name. Now, the CRM needs to take these variables in certain formats. For example, this is not the date format that the CRM likes, and there's a little space here that concerned me, so I wanted to take care of those as well. And finally, to book an event in the CRM, I needed to reformat it into a different date as well. So actually the CRM will hold a date value in one format, but to book an event, it takes a date time in a separate format. So I have these 3 reformatting steps here. Here's the good part. This is where I'm actually sending the message to the CRM. Now, as of course, if you haven't used a webhook before, you'll know that you have to start here first in the CRM. So we're going to start with the trigger, an inbound webhook, and that's going to give us generate an inbound URL. The first thing we'll want to do is we'll want to copy that inbound URL and jump back into Make and put it here. And before we go on with the automation, we're going to set all of our variable names and assign their values. As you can see here, we have the $1 for stories and customs of Ollantaytambo, and we have a name that I'm giving it called tour name. You can name it in any case. I chose camel case. It's not really necessary. Okay, and once we get that done, we're going to run through in a given scenario. As you can see, I just did that. And we'll start to find these mapping references. Once we get our first mapping reference, we'll have sample data, and we can then go and use that data for whatever purposes. In this case, I first wanted to create a contact so I could get the contact in the system. This will be necessary if I want to send a thank you message, Rather than whatever Viator is sending them, I want to send them some custom message, and I want it to be dependent on the tour name. So I'm going to create a contact, and it's going to include their first name, their last name, the tour name, the tour date. I'm also creating a date time field for the booking. Down here, I'm checking if there's a date, and then if there is, then I'm going to be booking an appointment. And here I'm selecting a team member and the calendar that I've created in the CRM so I can get this done. Now, I haven't yet set up my client's WhatsApp yet. However, there always is this possibility over here to do something like sending a WhatsApp message. In this case, since we're an international business, it'll be necessary to send to their WhatsApp. And of course, we have a lot of options. I can create templates, and we'll be able to send custom messages based off of whether they are, which tour they're actually signed up for. In this case, a workshop for ceramics. And so that is basically the brunt of how you take an email and bring it into your CRM and can fire any number of automations off of that. You can also send reminders as well for when the tour is actually occurring. You know, hey, your tour is in a week, your tour is in 3 days, don't forget to pack, etc., etc. So the capabilities are quite endless. Upsells, I'll be able to send them as well. Have you seen this other thing that we can add on? We can provide you X, Y, and Z. So all these things will have to be done manually and are time consuming and can be forgotten, and thus can result in lost sales unless you're actually utilizing some tool like this and get it all set up in the beginning. So I just want to give you this. I haven't done it yet. I knew it was possible. Very easy, very simple. You know, your friendly neighborhood ChatGPT for all this stuff is probably the best option for getting regular expressions created and helping guide you through this. Probably free version is just fine. If you have any questions, have unique applications, I love new challenges and would love to try something else. So please let me know in the comments. Thank you.